Hey guys, this is Grace and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you the first 5 cards that I created with my 10 handmade cards, 1 homemade kit. So with card number 1, I really like this skyscraper image in one of the papers, and so I just wanted to really feature that, and so I'm just cutting that up to a little bit smaller than an A2 size card, and I'm just trying to kind of audition some of these card bases to see which one will work best, and I went with the navy blue. So I have already heat embossed the sentiment thank you on vellum, and I've actually embossed that twice because I'm going to use the other one in another card. But for this one, I am just going to basically layer that vellum piece over the skyscraper paper, and then add a little bit more embellishments and call it good. So I decided to go with vellum because, like I said, I wanted to feature that really cool image, and the way for me to do that and still add sentiment is through vellum. So I'm just adhering that up, and then I do have this pack of twine, and I'm going to use the green one and just wrap that a couple of times and then tie the ends into a bow to have it to create a finished look. And then I'm going to add some sequins to that and then call it good. So it was fairly easy, and it still shows off that cool city design. So the twine is moving a little bit, and so I wanted to kind of secure that. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue dots to that, just tuck it in the back, and so it won't move anymore. These sequins, the sequins pack is from Spiegel Mom, and I'm going to add some of the flower. Actually, I thought I wanted a flower, but really it just didn't seem like it matched the modern look of the cityscape that's in the background, so I'm going to go with the original or the regular sequins, and then just add that with some glue dots, and then that's it. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of close-up of card number 1 here. Okay, so on to card number 2. This is another fairly simple one. One of the things that I really wanted to do with this kit is to use up the pattern papers because they're really cool, but honestly it's very modern for me, so I kind of wanted to just finish them off here. So a lot of these cards are simple, but they feature pattern paper. So I have this 2 bold papers, the orange one and then this black and white stripe one. I decided to do a stripe with the black one and then add a notch on the bottom. And then I did run a piece of white cardstock through my embossing or my Cuttlebug with the embossing folder with all the frames, and I'm going to cut up one of the frames here. I decided to do white because I just wasn't sure if what color I wanted or I would need for that particular card, so I just ran them all on white. And then here is the way for me to kind of dress it up. I'm going to add some alcohol markers just on part of the frame to kind of highlight that and also do the edges. So by doing so, I was able to find the right color to match my card. So if you're have some tools like this that you want to use, but you can never know what kind of color you want to use, just go with white and then just color it in afterwards. And I will be using this technique a few times with the card sets here. So I have this card sticker sheet from SRM, and I'm just trying to see which thank you would work best, and I go with this one with the open close parenthesis, and that's what I'm gonna go with. And I'm going with the kind of mint green, I believe. No, I'm actually going to go with navy blue. That was one of the things that I wasn't really kind of thinking about in the beginning, is the card bases, which one will match the best. And so I do a lot of auditioning card bases with these cards as I go along. And here I decided that this card needed a little bit of texture, and so I'm going to go with twine. But for some reason, I'm filming this at a different table away from where a lot of my um, supplies are, and I was trying to use my paper trimmer to just cut a slit on the top of this card, but it wasn't going through. I guess for some reason this card base is really thick and it just wouldn't cut through. And so I'm just going to grab my scissors, being very careful of course not to cut myself, and then that's how I was able to create that little hole there. And then I'm just going to thread the orange twine a couple of times in order for me to get the length that I want and need for this particular card base. So before, honestly, I would like cut the twine up and then just kind of, I wouldn't make the twine go all the way around a card because I felt like I was just wasting the twine. So I would just cut them and kind of tape the ends on the inside. But honestly, now I just wrap it because I have so much twine that it doesn't really matter if they're all used up in one card. So I noticed that my bow, it was a little bit lower than I had wanted, and the good thing about wrapping it all the way around is that I can move it wherever I need to without ruining or untying anything or taking out any tape on the back. So I decided to dress up the frame a little bit more with these pearl pens that I pulled out for this particular kit. And let me tell you, I haven't used this pearl pen in a long time, and my love for it came back because of pulling it out for this particular kit. So if you have some products that has been sitting in your stash that you loved before, pull them out because it reminds you of why you love them in the first place. So this is card number 3, and this is one of my favorites from this set. So first of all, I'm gathering again pattern paper because I want to use them up, and I have this very subtle designed light pink paper that I've cut smaller than my card base, and then I ran just leftover pink cardstock from one of the card bases that I pulled, and so it's just plain pink cardstock that I ran through my die cut machine using some scallop dies from Simon Says Stamp, and then I have this block of black and white paper that I'm just going to cut into a strip, and that's going to be like the top and the bottom border of my card. So I'm just laying that on there just to see how it looks, and I like how it's looking. Okay, so to dress up that light pink paper, I am going to grab one of the flowers from the stamp set, and I'm going to stamp that with multiple colors. Now, I did not write the ink pads that I used for this particular card, but as you can see, there's the two, there's kind of the turquoise color, and then the blue one, and then a pink, and kind of a mustardy yellow, and an orange one. So if you ever want the colors, let me know, and I will try to find them again and put them in the description below. But as you can see, I'm just adding this, I'm stamping the flower with different colors, and I love the final look of it and how it just it springs spring to me. So I really like that one. This pink one kind of comes out a little bit more of the purple hue, but that's totally fine. I like that as well. And I will stamp this a few times, but making sure that I keep the flowers somewhat in the center because I know that the edges of it will be covered by that scallop and black border. So just filling all the spaces in, trying to see, and I'm not overlapping them because I don't want the colors to blend together. So I just want them close enough that you can see all the different colors, but they're not overlapping. But this particular flower design is actually really cool to um, make it close together because of the points of the flower. They don't overlap as much as some other ones because of the points. Okay, so now I'm going to adhere the scallop border to the edge of this black, and then I'm going to adhere all of that together. And then of course I'm going to trim the excess of the scallop and then add that to my orange cardstock base. And so because I have some cardstock that are very dark, I will add a white piece of cardstock inside of it, just so it'll be easy for me to write my sentiments on there and it'll be readable. So that's what I do. And then I'm going to add my sentiment. I wanted to add the strip that says thank you from the bottom of my heart, and of course I wanted that to stand out, so I will add that with white cardstock. But since I have all these scraps of paper and the pattern paper this is not double-sided, I just decide to use the back side of that, and that will be my white paper, and that works totally fine. Now I was initially wanting to put that in the center, but it just didn't seem like it went well, you know, covering up parts of the flower, and so I'm going to actually place the sentiment a little bit on the bottom of the card base. And I like the sentiment, but the problem was it says thank you from the bottom of my heart, but I don't have any hearts in this card. So after I grab the twine, I'm actually going to rummage through my scraps. I keep a little bit of kind of scrapped die cut pieces, you know, just small little items. I put them in a little container, and so I would rummage through that, and ended up finding a small gold die cut heart, which went perfect for this because it was just the right size for me to add to my piece. So if I would have thought a little bit better, I probably wouldn't use the sentiment because it just has a lot of flowers in there, but it worked out fine. I have a heart, and that was just the right size. So I'm going to add a few more of that pearl pen, again falling in love with it again, so I wanted to use that to dress up the centers of the flowers and to add a little bit more on the bottom and the top. So that's card number 3, and so we are on card number 4. And this one I wanted to use up the rest of those papers, or those die cut frames that I had dry embossed on white cardstock. So I've pre-cut them, and as you can see right here, and I'm going to arrange them onto that very bold orange cardstock. So I first wanted to use up the big one because of course that takes a lot more space, and so I'm going to kind of rearrange it like that, and kind of figured that a semi kind of straight or parallel lines would work best for this set, and that's what I'm going to go with. So I just hand cut those frames because I don't have a die cut for this embossing folder, which is totally fine. Because there are parts of it that's raised, and the shape is very obvious, it was easy for me to cut that. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with card number 2, which is to color in, but it actually didn't turn out as good as it did on the other one. I think it's because I wasn't paying attention with the lines, and the color that I chose for my pen was a little bit darker, and it wasn't looking good. I didn't like it. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm actually going to emboss this on another white cardstock, and then cut up the frames again, and then just go back to 0 without coloring them. Yeah, because it just didn't work out. See, I didn't like it. And so I have this piece again, and I'm going to cut a few more pieces, and then just chuck the other ones that I used, that I tried the color anyways, and I'm going to just throw that in the trash. And I'm not liking that one, so I'm going to cut a different piece. Like I said, it was easy to cut because the shapes were very obvious, and see how easy that was. So I did use a sticker that has 3 thank yous on there, and I am going to add that with some foam adhesive to kind of emphasize the sentiment against all of the other frames. So if you are new to my channel, or you've not seen the items that I pulled for this particular kit, make sure that you check out the description below, because it will have a link of the video that I created to show off the items that I had planned to use for this particular kit. And I do that reveal before I make the layouts, so that you can have an idea of the products that I will be working with before I even start making the process videos. And I do make 10 cards, but this video would only show the first 5. I break it down so it's not too long of a video for you, and it would be easy for me to do the voiceovers when there's 2 of them versus 1. So I've adhered everything onto the orange cardstock, orange paper, and then I've adhered that piece to the beige cardstock base. And then now I'm going to adhere some sequins. I decided to fill 2 of the frames with some flower sequins to give it a little bit more design, and I will add 1 more, I believe, with the where the sentiment is. So I'm just trying to see, do I fill that in, or do I just leave it with a 3? And I like it just being 3. It just has that very simple yet elegant design, and so I'm going to go with that. And then, but it looks a little bit boring still, so I pull out my Pearl pen, and I'm going to go to town just putting a lot of dots on the sides of it. Now, I like the look of it. It just adds that little bit of texture and design without taking too much space. So tell me, if you were me, if you were doing this card, would you do the same thing I did, which was to add like these dots of pearls on the edges, or would you color in the frames like I was trying to do in the beginning? And just let me know what you think. Kind of interested in how you would do this card, and leave it in the comment section below. So of course, with this Pearl pen, you need to set it aside to dry, and I do let it dry for at least 24 hours before I touch it. And that's my card number 4. So on to card number 5. This is another one that I really loved how it turned out. So I stamped and heat embossed those flowers with black ink, and black embossing powder, and I did do that 4 times because I wanted to first of all, I was kind of thinking I would layer them, but I ended up doing it, just cutting them out and using all 4 instead of layering 2 on top of each other. So I am using 3 different shades of yellow, no, 2 different shades of yellow and 1 shade of orange for this one. And this is just kind of be a little bit of a window card. It's not going to be a shaker card, but I just wanted to kind of add a little bit more color. I did really like the triangle pattern paper. It's very bold, but I needed some color to it, so that's why I'm busting out my distress inks. And then now I have I'm coloring in the flowers here, and I love how with just a little bit of swipe with the blending tool that I can use my distress ink to color in images as well. So I'm just using 2 different shades of the yellow that I used, 1 yellow and 1 orange here. And I'm going to do 2 orange and then 2 yellows, and I'm not really paying attention to that my colors are bleeding outside of the lines, because I've heat embossed those flowers. It'll be easy for me to cut the shapes out without having too much problem. And so now I'm pulling out the stamp that says just for you, and I want to heat emboss that. So I'm actually going to, I stepped away from the table and from video, and then I did heat emboss that. And then before I added my my piece of paper there, I actually splattered a little bit of water just to show that distressing that I really love when you use that particular ink pad. So I'm just adhering the flowers now. Now the flowers are a little bit too big for the card base, and so if I were to mail this, I would probably use a bigger envelope for this, just to let you know. Because I didn't want to cut up those flowers because they were really pretty. And I'm just curling up the edges of it just to give it a little bit more shape and make this a little bit more of a 3D type of card. Now last minute I'm gonna add some pearl pen. Like I said, I fell in love with this pearl pen again. I did pull out a pink shade, but it just seems like with all the cards that I made, this kind of turquoise color or kind of mint green was working the best with all of my cards. So those are my 5 cards. I hope that you come back for process video number 2, and I will catch you guys another day. Bye.